right? 2025 was the year of experimentation.
Yep.
2026 is going towards implementation. It's very well that humans should sit at exceptions for now. It cannot be at each and every step. We have to deliberately push the models to go to that age before it reaches into the production.
Hi, everyone, and welcome. As AI moves from the future state technology to the core engine of our products, platforms, and financial systems, the old rulebook for testing is being rewritten. We are no longer just checking if code is working. We are now tasked with ensuring that this dynamic learning systems that remain ethical, unbiased, and reliable. Our session today is titled Reimagining Quality in an AI-driven world. We'll be exploring the evolution of quality engineering from continuous model validation and drift monitoring to the critical role of human in the loop assurance. To help us navigate the shift, I am thrilled to be joined by a leader who has spent over 23 years at the forefront of quality transformation. Nilesh Yola is the India leader for quality engineering practice for the financial business unit at Capgemini. Beyond his track record of delivering mission critical digital engagements, he is a key sponsor for Capgemini's CSR initiatives in India and also chairs the Capability Employee Network Group, where he leads the charge for disability inclusion and empowerment. He brings a unique perspective that blends deep technical strategy with profound commitment to responsible, ethical leadership. Nilesh, it is a pleasure to have you here to share your insights on how the quality function is becoming a strategic partner in this AI first era. Welcome to the session.
Yep.
So,
Thank you,
can
Kavya.
you,
Yeah.
thank you, Nilesh. So, can you please share a bit about your journey in the quality engineering space in these last many years?
Yeah. So I think Kavya, I think very well introduced as well. So as you know that last 23 years has been a very inspiring journey for me.
Mhm.
Starting from manual testing for all this cloud era that came into the space, or even in the AI journey now currently we are into, right? I have seen a major shift in the quality engineering practice. And that's the opportunity for me where I'm working with so many large scale transformation projects. I've been delivering that in the past. In this current age now, we are moving into that AI journey where my role is actually to look at the best possible implementations that we can do and how we can further reduce the efforts, bring more quality. That's how I'm getting involved into all these projects now. We see that most of our customers are onto this journey, and that's the whole experience that from manual testing, automation testing to this AI enabled journey that is coming forward. So in all these 23 years of experience, right, delivering major complex transformation projects for banking industry, insurance sector, as well as for capital market also. Those are the projects that we have been delivering in the past. And that's the experience that I have currently. So it's good to be as part of your conference today, and let's go forward with the discussion.
Thank you so much, Nilesh. Very impressive. And I'm sure that the audience will gain a lot of insights from today's session. So, the first question is, what are your actionable recommendations for teams setting up continuous model validation for the first time? And essentially, what should they validate first and how often?
So see, continuous model validation is going to be the key part of all this entire AI journey. Recently, we published our world quality report, and in our world quality report, we also found out that all the organizations are rapidly shifting towards this AI journey. There are more than 89% of our organizations are piloting AI. But the interesting fact is, out of that, only 15% of have managed to scale that AI for an enterprise-wide level. And for that, so you can still say that these are at a very, very early maturity stage. So to ensure that this AI adoption is going beyond 15%, what we will have to do is, at least from experience standpoint, there are three or four different things that we'll have to look at this continuous model validation standpoint. You have to check the output of those models and the consistency and its correctness. We have to ensure that the model is being consistent in giving the output. If our first use case gives you 80% of the output, it has to stick to 80%. That 80% and has to be completely compared with the baselines as well. if that output and that consistency keeps on changing, you will see that the model will not be giving the right output. So for that, it also becomes important to monitor the data drift. Looking at that, which is the second important point, that all the input data that is going, right, the data distributions that are happening, it has to be tracked and it has to be real time tracked. So with that, your input data and the output that will come, if it is consistent, you will see that this continuous model validation will be an overall, you can say, a framework that will be in place. For that, you have to continuously track the runtime health of the project or the runtime health of this use case as well, to see how it is performing, to look at the latency, to look at the error codes. We have to do the performance review weekly at least to ensure that it is also meeting the business objectives. Monthly, we'll have to look at whether it is also meeting that objective cost. So if you look at all these three or four different points, Kavya, this continuous model validation, these are very important factors. And that's how I think in banking industry or in insurance industry, we'll have to look at implementing that.
Thank you, Nilesh. I think very solid advice, especially because a lot of quality engineering teams are looking at adopting AI within financial sectors, right? So for them, the baseline, of course, is consistency, which is the only way that can bridge that gap per se. It's very striking that nearly everyone is piloting AI, but only a few have so far mastered how to sort of navigate that scale as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that.
The important point, right? 2025 was the year of experimentation.
Yep,
2026 is going towards implementation. So I think for all these factors being in mind, this continuous model validation framework in place is going to be very important for all of us.
sounds great. Thank you. So moving on to the next question, right? For teams that have not started bias testing yet, you just mentioned that, 25 was an year of experimentation. So it is possible that they haven't started bias testing yet. What is the single most impactful step they can take this month to begin identifying fairness gaps in their AI systems?
Yeah. So I think, Kavya, there are two factors which would be most important for looking at this bias testing if they are not started. First is to run a disaggregated outcome review on a high impact AI models. So unless and until we break that and check that up, right, you will not be able to look at the outcomes. The second important point is we'll have to do the very fast data audit. With that data audit, we have to be a very, very strong data foundation has to be in place. So the point is we'll have to look at the high impact decision points where this data is going to matter a lot. So if you wanted to look at any, either you take a banking example or an insurance example, where we wanted to focus on key AI decisions, either it is with respect to approval or with respect to pricing, depending on that, the testing has to be structured. We'll have to evaluate the outcomes also across, either it is for single segment, multiple segments, look at multiple dimensions to ensure that this testing is happening on a time. So I think with that, the metrics, right? We have to look at the metrics, the selection rates, the error gaps that it is showing, that will be able to give you the fairness gaps. See, what we also do when we are looking at our own products that we are developing within our organization, which are again the custom fit for a particular customer or particular organization also. But we'll have to, the consistency of that model is going to be another important. So all those things are which are identified as high risk, right? Where there is a defect density legacy, if you'll see, right, there was a defect density and it is coming out from long time, it is a legacy defect density. Is that the right thing or not? That has to be checked, and whether it is still valid in this era is the point that we'll have to check. So depending on that, we'll have to look at the recent and diverse test data also which is available, and not only rely on the successful past runs. So if you keep all these things in mind, I think what we'll have to do is this bias testing will able to shape it up.
Thank you, Nilesh. All the quality engineering teams, they're always looking for a practical data-driven checklist that they can just take and implement or execute, as soon as possible. So I think this is an important point that they can add to that. And I think I really do love the fast audit approach that you just mentioned, because it does help the it does help quality engineering teams to again move from bias testing with such an air. There's a lot of ethical, I would say, overwhelming ethical mountain as well that they have to climb into, right? So from that
Yeah.
perspective, makes a lot of sense. Great. So moving on to the next question, for organizations that are building their responsible AI governance framework from scratch, what policies or checkpoints should quality leaders push for first within their organization?
I think we discussed a lot about the AI and also the governance around it. When all these things come to our mind, or even if there are a lot of discussions that happens, the first thing that comes in mind is all about guardrails. We have to be very important in setting up those foundational guardrails. So first priority is setting those foundational guardrails that enable, which will be a safe and scalable AI. If your guardrails are not set up right, you will not see that consistency of the outputs as well. So based on our experience, right, by when we were implementing a product, AI related product for some of our customers, there are multiple things that we learned over the past 6 to 8 months, and that's how it is that there are 3 or 4 different things here again. So the first point is, right, you need to build that strong data quality and the source controls. Again, if you'll see this responsible AI start long after that, model training is going to be very important, and it starts with that data. And we'll look at the data readiness that is there currently is the biggest barrier. It was there in the earlier industry also, in this AI industry also, the data barriers. Data readiness is going to be a big barrier. So if we are ready with our data, you will see a very good and scalable outputs that will come. So that will be the trusted output that you will see if your data inputs are going to be very well. Second is, we have to be introducing a very simple and a practical model risk uh, tiering system kind of a thing, right? A lightweight classification, that group model based on business impact, autonomy of the data sensitivity, customer exposures. Depending on that, we have to bring that model risk tiering system, and that will give deeper scrutiny and a lower risk experiments. That will help you to at least bring a responsible AI governance. And then we need to have a very lightweight pre-release checklist also with us. Think of that as an quality gate. Before any AI system reaches a production, this should cover fairness. You can look at the stress testing, safety guardrail validations, transparency documentation. So that checklist also is going to be important. So in summary, right, if you look at all those things, a strong data governance, the model risk tiering system, and also the a simple checklist will be a powerful foundation for this AI governance. We also have seen that in one of our project for one of our customer, in the pipelines itself, CI/CD pipelines itself, I think we have embedded the governance, the checklist that are already enforcing basically enforcing the quality standards. That also is part of guardrails only. But depending on the nature of the project, we were able to implement that. So that's how I think for overall governance, AI governance, if you look at those guardrails and put it right in the system, it is going to be very impactful for the entire AI projects.
Thank you, Nilesh. When you were quoting it, I was also making notes of it so that I could sum it up, but you have done it wonderfully. I think all these three things are like more like three pillars of AI governance framework, I suppose, because guardrails, strong data controls, as well as introducing a simple practical model and pre-release checklist. I think a lot of times teams are looking at governance as a blocker at times, I would say. But it seems like it is only going to help them to move in a faster manner with more confidence at the end of the day. So I think to get started, I suppose the quality engineering teams can absolutely take this framework
Yeah.
and implement it. Yeah. So moving on to the next question, where exactly should human in the loop checkpoints sit in an AI pipeline without slowing down releases?
Yeah, I think human in loop is another big discussion that is happening around that. With all this AI and the kind of outputs that we see, what is the overall factor where humans are going to be in loop? It's very well that humans should sit at exceptions for now. It cannot be at each and every step. So we have also have to look at the overall. Again, let's go back to the some of the earlier point that it has to be a risk tiered overall application, if you set up, we have to put that humans in loop at a right set only, at right point, where there is a high impact decision mod is required, right? If your model is going to give a output which is going to completely change the overall direction at that particular point, we need to set that human in loop, where human will have to look at that data point and then either approve it, decline it, or at least look at the overall factor, and then depending on that the model can take a direction from there. So that human oversight is going to be very well required. It is not going to go anywhere. The point here is, even the EU Act, which is explicitly coming in picture from August 2026, it also says that human oversight as part of the risk management and governance control is going to be very important. We should design that human in the loop as a targeted gate, okay, not a bottleneck. It should be triggered by a drift, anomalies, or also disputes rather than having for every prediction. So if you look at some of the banking industry, so one of the credit card applications that we're talking about, right? When the credit applications is routing to underwriter, at that point, because it is going to completely change the direction, it will completely change the flow. At that point of the time, I think that human in loop is going to be required. Or even if there are fraud model flags, right, which are going to trigger some different investigation, at that point of the time, this human in loop is going to be important. So in one of our project, right, when we're looking at the defect prediction model, in defect prediction model, with all the historic data, we got all the outputs. There was a rationale that we got, but we did not ask the severity. The final severity was given by the human only, because with all the data points, we took only the rankings. We took the ranking, we took the rationale around it, but the final severity, because it is going to make an impact. If there is a change in severity, it will completely change the direction. The release which is going to next in the pipeline, the testing, the regression is going to get changed. So for that, we as a team only had done that final severity check for those defects. So it reinforces the human accountability, Kavya, in short.
Thanks, Nilesh. It is definitely a very important question because there's a lot of I would say debates happening around the role of human, especially when it comes to software testing in this age of AI. So, what you have said is, I think, really reassuring for a lot of teams out there, and at the same time, something that they should be implementing within their organizations as soon as possible, and see that humans, at the end of the day, are the decision makers, or as you said, rightly said, right? They're not a bottleneck, but like should be there for oversight. And I think that's a vital distinction that will keep the release cycle super tight as well as we go and down the
Yeah.
lane. Um, we also spoke about, you've also spoken about the AI pipeline in detail, but say, for instance, how do you test an AI system's behavior boundaries, ensuring that it adapts within acceptable limits and doesn't go rogue? What is it that the quality engineering teams can do to keep it under control?
Yeah. So Kavya, right? I think for to test the system's AI behavior, right? I think, and we have to push that boundaries. We have to go
Hmm.
to the extreme edges. We have to deliberately push the models to go to that age before it reaches into the production. We'll have to again look at the defining the clear guardrails here, and we have to look at what system can do, what system cannot do also. Once that you identify what it can do and what it cannot do, we have to push those stress testing limits also. So we have to push it to ensure that there is enough stress that is given to the system, and we check it to those limits also. Using adversarial prompts, do it through prompt engineering only. Look at the real-time simulations and then look at the scenario-based testings also. So coming back to one of our project again, there was a data that was supposed to be pushed into the system. There are multiple trades that were supposed to be pushed, and we had to create a synthetic data for that. That synthetic data, we have to create it in millions and millions to ensure that it is checking that age, extreme age, so that AI doesn't behave it does not, it should behave as per the expectation. And that's the reason that we gave millions of synthetic data, pushed it into the system, and check whether the outputs are coming in proper or not. So even during the development phase also, right, how to evaluate the model under ambiguity, under the conflicts or missing data to ensure that it adapts safely without overcorrecting. And when it goes to the post deployment, also the continuous monitoring, the drift detection, and automated guardrail enforcement also ensures that the AI models are within the acceptable limits. So I think in banking industry, when we do this, all these fraud detection models, right? Their synthetic data, the fraud pattern is going to be very important, and we have to give the extreme transaction scenarios to ensure that the AI is working as per the direction, and it looks at the overall limits also.
Thank you so much, Nilesh. I think that's again a solid advice. So moving on to the next question, right? Will AI eventually test AI? And what does fully autonomous quality assurance look like in the next 3, 5 years?
So I think there is a lot of discussion around whether AI will test AI or not. Yes, the answer is simple. Answer is yes. AI is going to test AI, and you will see it happening in next few months or a period of years, right? You will see that the overall we are moving towards autonomous quality now, autonomous quality assurance, where AI agents will generate the test, they will self-fill on themselves, adapt instantly to the changes and predict the risk before the failure occurs also. AI is going to automate most of the testing task. There is no second thought on it, but humans will retain their accountability and intent also. As we said earlier, human in loop is going to be important, but that accountability is going to be still with humans. Humans are not going to disappear here again. AI will test AI, but end of the day, humans or we are not going to get disappear. We are going to transition into that quality assurance now, where we are going to be setting the guardrails for ethics, for compliance, and also for the oversight as well. Here, right, earlier it was all the quality or testing was more of a reactive kind of a testing that we was doing. Now it will be more of a continuous, and it will be a proactive kind of a testing that we will be doing on. And the outcome of all these things, right, if AI is going to test the AI, because the code is also going to come through AI. So with that, what will happen is you will see faster releases, you will see fewer defect, higher trust in both software and AI systems. This is going to become a competitive age in this next era for sure. I think let's accept that fact that this is going to be competitive age. At the industry level, right, when we spoke about World Quality Report earlier, in that 17th edition that we spoke about, right, as I said, it was only 15% of those who have scaled to that AI. But that scaling of the AI was not only due to only technology, it was also due to the organization readiness to adapt some changes, to invest beyond technology. They started aligning to the strategy, started building the hybrid skills, and also integrated AI into real workflows. So that's the reason that those 15% were at least be able to achieve what they were expecting for. And that's the reason that I think we all will have to work towards completely look at the ecosystem. Only putting one AI model or an use case is not going to bring that major change. All these factors on the ecosystem, infrastructure, human in loop, the right skills are going to matter a lot. It is AI is going to amplify the capability for sure, but it can't compensate for weak fundamentals. Yeah. And if you look at, we'll have to look as AI as an, it is more of an use AI to augment, not to replace. That's one of the major point for all of us. We have to use AI up to its certain extent, up to a best part of the AI has to be used to ensure that we start delivering the better quality, faster delivery, and smarter collaboration as well. And that has to be tracked with your governance framework. It is going to be tracked. I think that is going to be more important, Kavya. Yes, but I agree to your point that AI are going to test the AI for sure.
Thank you so much, Nilesh. I think the vision of autonomous quality engineering is absolutely incredible. And that's also where TestMe AI, for instance, is headed. And in fact, we are at. And with that, you need to ensure that, you also organizations or quality engineering teams also have these super strong fundamentals in place. Because as you said, right, the weak fundamentals would not make it work. And a very interesting point on how continuous proactive testing remains one of the key aspects of you know this current situation as well, because a lot of times, even to date, right, a lot of teams are probably looking at testing as more reactive. Whereas what you have shared is super insightful that, they should be rather looking at a more proactive approach, rather. Great. So, we are on to the last question of the day. So, based on our today's touch points, right, what are your recommendations for quality leaders to start transforming their quality function into a strategic partner that enables AI and that ensures AI enabled products operate ethically, transparently, and reliable and are reliable in production?
Yeah. So as I said, right, quality is going to become more continuous and more proactive basis.
Mm-hmm,
So it is going to be a strategic now. Quality is going to become a strategic now, where it ensures that AI systems are safe, transparent, and reliable at every stage,
mm-hmm,
unlocking the innovation while protecting customers, frauds, and everything, right? So on all this strategic way, the way quality is moving, we are moving towards a trust office. I completely feel that quality leaders should reposition this function as a trust office for AI going forward. And for that, we need to have a trust operating model as well. So with that
mm-hmm,
trust operating model, because if you'll see all the basic things will be done by AI, but this operating model has to be in such a shape that there is a governance which is there in place, which will identify the clear risk. There has to be the approval gates that are in place. There has to be the concrete documentation around it, and then so that AI products, right, that are getting shipped, they are getting output, we get output which are completely transparent, and also accountability that is getting built in. So that governance has to be built when we talk about the trust office operating model. You also look at the second point, that the it cannot be the only consistency check only by one dimension. There has to be multiple dimension evaluations. With one dimensions, you will be able to see output only in one directions. We need to go beyond accuracy to continuously test for safety, to check for fairness, to robustness, to drift, and reliability also. Yes, especially when this agentic AI or the agentic behaviors are coming into picture, it is going to be very important to look at the multiple dimension evaluation that we need to do. Along with that, we have to also look at the monitoring and controls that are there in place. We have to inbuild the real-time observability. We have to look at the guardrails that are set up. Again, going back to our first question also, right? There has to be a set of guardrails that are supposed to be set. And all those things, right? To ensure that AI behaves ethically, we need to ensure that all this monitoring has to be real-time monitoring and there are controls in place. With that, right, it cannot be only as one team or our testing quality function which will be able to build this entire trust. We need to get that cross functional trust as well, either from the product team, from the data science team, or from the legal team, to turn this quality into a strategic advisor where this innovation is not at a last stage of checkpoint, right? So this overall as a system, when we say that this is the output that is going to come from this AI model, if you bring this trust through these governance models around this, I think this trust office, this operating model should be in place, right? Earlier, when it comes to testing, we just say that does it work properly? Here, it does not mean that does it work properly. We'll have to say that yes, does it work properly? But we need more questions. Either it is safe, it is testing safe fairly, it is reliable, and also it is explainable to the real world also. I think that's the major thing, that we have to go into trust office for AI. And as I said earlier, quality leaders will have to start repositioning QE as a trust office for AI going forward. And again, it is based on a strong fundamentals, risk-based governance, and human in the loop oversight as well. So yesterday we were talking to one of our leaders, and what we noticed is the requirement that is coming to us now. The code is developed by AI. They don't want AI to test the same code. They want human in loop. You can bring your own AI algorithms, but it cannot be the same from where the code is getting built. Because if the input is going to be wrong at one stage, or even if there is a single thing that gets misplaced, you will see the results are going to be completely different, and model might give everything that is right. So in that case, we see that testing teams or the quality engineering teams might see that we'll be coming out of a pod now. We'll have a central horizontal team which will focus on testing this AI system using AI, but with a complete human in loop, and then signing off that authority, building that trust, and showing that trust to customers also, that this is how AI output is going to be correct, right? So the point is, AI era, right? The testing in this AI era now, this quality's role is shifting. It is not about only about the testing features. It is also building and protecting the trust now.
Thank you so much, Nilesh. I think that has been a super great insight. It's about, I think, repositioning quality as the trust office. I think for a lot of quality engineering teams, that would definitely be a lot of a powerful pivot, and also to build that trust operating model, right? Um, I think it's as you correctly said, it's not just one team's shift, but rather a more of horizontal approach, which would also shift the entire department from being a cost center to the core pillar of, I think, customer loyalty, building that brand integrity for the organizations at large, because it's super important, especially within the financial service industry. Great. Nilesh, you have given us a masterclass today. It is clear that as AI has been generated with, code gets generated with AI, human oversight is must become more pivotal than ever. You have also shown that the future of quality engineering is now safeguarding that trust that users play in these systems every single day. Of course, the insights that you shared, from building that trust office to ensuring that human remains as the expert navigator in that AI pipeline, I think these are blueprints that the teams can take from this session and implement within their organizations at large. It's been a true privilege having you with us, Nilesh. Really appreciate it. Any last, words that you'd like to share, insights that you'd like to share as closing remarks for the audience?
Yeah. So I think there are so many discussions that happen around, right? Whether this quality engineering testing function will remain. As I said, right, it is going to more of a trust office. Quality engineering function is going to stay. There is no second thought on it. We will start using AI to test the AI also. But more of the skill set is going to change drastically. We need more and more engineers now who will actually start testing this AI. So AI is going to give the output, but testing that AI is also going to be important. And that's, I think, there is a going to be a shift from skill set standpoint for the entire quality engineering industry, where all our people or the tester has to move towards an engineering mindset. And that's the reason that once we build this trust, what you will see, people will start following, and quality engineering will have its own shape.
Thank you so much, Nilesh. It's been a true privilege again having you with us. Really appreciate all the insights that you shared. To our audience, thank you for joining us for reimagining quality in an AI-driven world. You could, of course, follow Nilesh and stay tuned for our session. If you have any questions, again, feel free to reach out to us after the session, and we'd love to share the questions with Nilesh as well. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.